We just got word that the CVO Road Glide RR is here, and it's funny, people just kind of show up. Our long lost friend, Andrew, is here.
Aloha!
Special guest.
Only reason why I'm here is to buy the RR and see if it's really designed and developed for extreme race situations.
So you guys got it. Yeah, Andrew's buying it. He said it, so we're gonna hold him to it.
Traded 2 Pan Americas.
Let's check this thing out. The RR. Harley-Davidson's most expensive bike they've ever shipped. Race ready. Kyle Wyman approved. Everyone's here for the moment. Everyone's waiting for the RR.
I was waiting for the crowd to show up.
Is this how all your deliveries are? You just got, well, how many you got in there, bro?
I had 20.
You had 20 on this thing? Dang, what's the math on that, man? The truck just got a lot more expensive. So did you pick these up in York, or?
No, over at Roush Racing in Michigan.
Okay.
Where they're all put together at.
Okay.
Put a tag, an air tag on your
He had 20 of them in here.
That's fine. As you see, it's a big solid metal gate. If you can get it open, good luck.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go through the side. Rivets will come right off.
Seen out of Fast and Furious, right? Get the Honda Civics out here.
Honda Civics.
Yeah. And some Supras. Yeah. Dude, over $2 million in motorcycles in this truck.
Add $1 million to it.
Add $1 million to it, 3 million?
Well, you figure on average, bikes are going for about 150,
yeah.
160.
Yeah, I'm not good at math, so.
But it's still not as expensive as a Mecum load for the auctions.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
The Mecum auction load, those are even more expensive.
Yeah. So today is an exciting one. A review that I honestly didn't think I was gonna be able to do, just because the bike that we're doing it on is the CVO Road Glide RR, the race replica bike. Now this bike comes with an MSRP of $110,000, hence the reason why I didn't think I would be able to do a review, but I wanted to give a major thank you to Michael, the man that is purchasing this motorcycle from us. He has allowed me to take it out and do my customary review around Baldwin Park here on the bike. And so we're gonna be taking it out, and we got Mickey hanging out the back of the SUV. So we got some really nice buttery footage coming your way. And I'm gonna be talking about some of the parts that make this bike so nice, so unique, and really just kind of a really special bike. As many of you guys know, there's only 131 of these bikes made globally. And so it is a very rare motorcycle. A lot of carbon fiber bodywork on this, a lot of billet aluminum parts that are just absolutely beautiful. Craftsmanship in this bike is spectacular. Huge kudos to the engineering team, the design team, the race team for making this bike happen. This is a really special bike. Just the fact that Harley-Davidson came out with this truly just is an exceptional job from the team. So congrats guys, and thank you. This bike truly is a masterpiece. So let's get into it. I'm going to be going over some of the parts on this, why they are so special, everything that goes into this bike. I feel like when this bike was first introduced, a lot of people were a little bit skeptical and unappreciative of exactly what this thing is. So let me delve into some of the details of this thing. All right guys, so let's take a close look at this CVO RR. Many of you have probably already seen the video that I posted a few months ago at an event in Texas that I got to go to. I'm gonna link a video in the top right hand corner for you guys to hear from Jason Kale, the director of Harley-Davidson's race team. If you wanna hear some of the more specific details on things, he's obviously a lot more knowledgeable than I am about this project. And so if you wanna go back and check out that video, you can get a little bit more like the tech spec stuff. But we actually did a project here at Laidlaw's HT HD, I got our parts team involved, Brandon and Evan. They were able to scour our resources here at the dealership and price out all the really expensive parts on this bike, most specifically the carbon fiber parts and all the billet aluminum parts on the motorcycle, suspension, all that good stuff. So I'm going to be giving you guys a walk around on the motorcycle, pointing out the different parts and showing you just how much some of these parts are going to cost retail. Obviously you can't buy them over the counter if you don't own one of these bikes. This is like replacement cost if you were to buy one of these bikes and then, you know, maybe get into a turn too much and scrape your primary and you wanted to get a new primary cover or something. Well, that primary cover is going to run you about $4,600, for example. So I'm going to be going over some of the parts there. Let me cover a couple of the most common comments on that video as well, and when this bike was first announced, some of the most common comments, usually negative, but that's okay. I think for the most of the world, including myself that can't afford a bike like this, there's maybe a little bit of bitterness involved. But I think one of the most uneducated comments that I'm seeing frequently is people are saying like, wow, I could just buy a regular Road Glide and build out the exact same bagger for $65,000. So guys, like maybe like a Make-A-Wish performance bagger you could probably build for $65,000, but something with this level of parts, quality, and materials used on the parts on this bike, there's no way on God's green earth that you could make this same bike for $65,000. I'm sorry. At our shop, we've built a few of these no expense spared bikes that are still not to this level, and they were pretty much all six-figure motorcycles. And that's pretty much sourcing the best aftermarket parts that are available on the market. And obviously Harley-Davidson was able to source and co-engineer a lot of the parts on this bike that far exceed anything that a lot of these independent shops can produce in terms of, you know, carbon fiber and aluminum and stuff like that. And that doesn't even include the fact that you have parts and everything on this bike that are backed by the motor company, had the R&D and stress testing and everything by Harley-Davidson Motor Company. And so there's a lot to be said for the part actually coming from the guys that build the motorcycles that we all know and love. And I'll say this too, guys, after we priced out all the carbon fiber on this bike and all the billet aluminum parts on this motorcycle and the suspension and the exhaust on this motorcycle, the grand total came out to be $122,000. That's not including the frame or the engine or the transmission. So in theory, you could part this bike out and make more than your money back that you spent, assuming you got this bike for $110,000. But I think most of us here know, because of supply and demand, majority of these bikes are going to sell for considerably more than $110,000. So let's start off and take a closer look at this CVO Road Glide RR. So first off, starting with the most important thing, of course, is the engine. So you've got a Milwaukee-Eight in this bad boy, 131 cubic inches. Yes, that is over 2,000 cc's. So this is over 2-liter motorcycle. This thing spits out 153 horsepower and 150 foot-pounds of torque. It has a red line of 6,500 RPM. Just for comparison, the CVO Road Glide ST has a 5,900 RPM red line. Most of the other M8s have a 5,500 RPM red line. And guys, I don't think this is really a review of this motorcycle. I think the word review gets used loosely, and obviously I use it pretty loosely. Although I try to review motorcycles in the most objective way possible, at the end of the day, I don't really compare them to other motorcycles. I'm just a Harley guy, so I talk about Harleys. Really what I try to do is try to steer people in the direction of which Harley to get. And honestly guys, I don't have the skills to ride this bike to its max potential. We need to get one of the racers, Kyle Wyman or James Rispoli, out here to really review the bike. And just riding on surface streets, you really can't take this bike anywhere near its potential. But anyways, you've got full carbon fiber on this bike. So let's talk about the saddlebags for a second while we're back here. So just one of these saddlebags is a little over $7,100. Oh, what's that you say? You want the lid on it as well? That's another $4,600. So for one complete saddlebag, you're about 12 grand if you were to try to replace this. And you may ask, oh, why is that so expensive? Well, guys, this carbon fiber is sourced by the same guys that NASCAR uses. The same guys that build all the bodies for the NASCAR race cars. That's who makes the carbon fiber bodywork for this bike. It's laid like infused with Kevlar as well. So not only does it look beautiful and is it lighter, it's also very strong and durable as well. The carbon fiber outer shell on the front fairing, you're looking at $12,000 if you were to try to replace that. The thing that's also nice, guys, the paintwork is absolutely beautiful. So you've got this nice orange paint with the CVO and Screaming Eagle Harley-Davidson graphics all over it, and it has this beautiful fade from the orange down into the raw carbon fiber. I say raw, but you know, there's clear coat over it, of course. But it's a beautiful way of displaying the fact that it is carbon fiber, but also adding some paint graphics on it. You know how that bar and shield outline kind of fades into the solid orange. The paint detail is amazing on this bike. Side covers, by the way, are $2,300. The tank, although not carbon fiber, it is a steel tank. You're looking at about $5,400 on that fuel tank. Rear fender on this thing, $6,700. Front fender on here, $3,700. Center console, you got this beautiful carbon fiber piece on the center console there. You're looking a little over $2,000 for that. Jumping into the front forks here. So you've got Screaming Eagle Öhlins front suspension. This is exactly the same fork that they use on the actual race baggers on the racetrack, guys. A lot of the parts are the exact same parts that they use on the racetrack, which is cool because Harley-Davidson's race team has been R&D'ing these parts now for several years. Now, the only thing that is different about the front forks is it's sprung a little bit different. I think the one that they use for the racetrack is a little bit taller, give it a little bit more lean angle, but it is basically the same front set of forks. Just one of the forks on this bike, by the way, $7,800. So just the front forks on this bike, just shy of $16,000 for the forks. And then of course you add the brakes to the equation, a little over $2,000 a piece. With the forks and the brakes and everything, you're over $20,000 for this front end with the brakes. These Brembo calipers on here, best of the best that you can buy for street use. If you want to replace that, $2,100. Some of you guys may say, oh, well, what's the point of all this aluminum carbon fiber? Well, they saved 50 pounds off of this bike when compared to the CVO Road Glide ST. It's still significantly heavier than the one that they actually race in the King of the Baggers series. This bike weighs 785 pounds approximately. You got that nice little carbon fiber chin spoiler down there around the cooler. That chin spoiler piece will run you $3,100. All the screws on this bike, by the way, guys, there's only 3 sizes for all the screws on this bike. As Jason Kale says it, and the director of their race team says they want to be able to take apart and service this bike on the side of the racetrack with just 3 tools. The bolts all individually cost about $30, by the way, for one bolt. One of the things that felt super nice on this bike was the mid controls. You got this beautifully machined CNC billet aluminum for the foot controls. You got that nice King transmission in there as well. Feels super nice, just solid, very distinct engagement of the gears. Those foot controls, by the way, cost you about $2,300 a piece. So you're about $4,600 in full foot controls. You know, that's your shift side and your brake side there. You got a carbon fiber triple tree cover here, which is beautiful, by the way. It's 2 pieces, and because it's carbon fiber, a lot of times it's hard to make those 2 carbon fiber pieces. I guess somewhere on the back they grind it away to make it so it clips together real nicely. Just small little fit and finish details that most people would never even think about. What's interesting though, guys, you got a cast aluminum wheel, $700 for the wheel. Harley-Davidson did not put a carbon fiber wheel on here. So the wheels on the RR are pretty reasonable if you want to get them replaced. Exhaust system on here, absolutely beautiful, done by Akrapovic. The exhaust system is 100% titanium and carbon fiber. Shaves a lot of weight off by using those materials. Really increases the durability as well. Just the muffler alone sets you back about $3,700. I really don't know what the rest of the exhaust system costs. I think one of the highlights of this bike is that swing arm. So the swing arm is CNC'd from a solid block of billet aluminum, 220-pound block of aluminum. Takes the machine, I think they said like 12 hours to whittle down that big block of aluminum into the swing arm here. Hopefully if you get one of these bikes, you don't misplace that swing arm because it'll run you about $12,800 to replace it. Another beautifully crafted aluminum piece on this bike is the primary cover. Just the fins, the detail, this thing is incredible. You're about $4,600 on that. The seat's pretty cool on this bike. Saddlemen was the supplier on this. You've got a carbon fiber base plate for the seat, little carbon fiber cowl as well. You know, riding this bike, everything felt pretty stiff, guys, I'm not gonna lie. But that's when you're doing 100 miles an hour on a racetrack. You don't want your suspension to be floppy and sloppy. I didn't adjust the suspension, by the way. I just ran it as it was. And honestly, most of the time I was doing the speed limit on this bike. So definitely not riding it in the way that it was intended to be ridden, but I was still able to have a couple moments here and there where I got to feel just what this thing is capable of. And it's pretty dang nice. A lot of times guys will ask me, okay, why not a chain on this? It has a belt drive. For street use, guys, and everyday practical use, the chains are just super impractical. Yeah, they're a little bit stronger. Yeah, if you're really transferring massive amounts of horsepower and just extreme sudden loads of power to the rear sprocket, chain is probably the best application. But for the average guy who isn't going to be riding real aggressively and real abusively and doesn't want to spray lubricant on the chain every couple thousand miles and the cleaning up of the lubricants, belt is perfectly fine. You got a nice little pommel up front in front of the seat. That is to basically support your inner thigh when you're hanging off the bike and dragging a knee around the corner. That allows you to hang more of your body off the side of the bike. So right after you leave Starbucks, you want to make that real tight corner in front of everybody and scrape your knee. The pommel will help you do that. The two things that I really noticed the most about this bike, guys, in the short amount of time and the relatively low speed I was able to operate it, is this bike likes to be run at a high RPM, even higher than that 121. And yes, I could definitely feel a significant performance increase over my CVO Road Glide ST that has a 121, puts out 127 horsepower. This thing, you could definitely tell I had more power, more ponies, more torque, all that good stuff. But this isn't a bike to ride in downtown LA, Chicago, whatever. This bike likes to be run at high speeds out on the highway, and that's really no surprise. 4,000 RPM plus is where this bad boy likes to live, and it just feels really good to move this much weight down the road that fast. A lot more satisfying than moving a sport bike at 400 pounds down the road, that's for sure. The other thing was the suspension. Like I said, very quick, stiff, reactionary, and honestly guys, I didn't put the suspension really through its paces. Let's be honest, I was putting around on surface streets, but I could tell that front end meant business, that's for sure. You got this big old heavy breather Screaming Eagle intake on here. Very similar actually to the CVO ST, it looks like. All in all, guys, it was awesome riding this thing. I feel very privileged to have gotten a chance to ride the RR. This thing will definitely be a big piece of Harley-Davidson's history. We still today talk about the V-Rod Destroyer, the bike that they made back in I think like 2006. It was like a drag bike, V-Rod. It's still just kind of a notable bike that gets talked a lot about in Harley-Davidson's past. And in my opinion, I just think that this thing is just way cooler than the Destroyer ever was. there's some pretty cool little extra goodies that come with every purchase of a CVO Road Glide RR. I'm gonna show those to you guys real quick. So the first one here are credentials for the King of the Baggers Racing, the Moto America series. So a nice little box here. CVO RR, open this bad boy up. Factory race team, VIP credentials here. This thing feels like metal. It's like a metal little thing. This gets you VIP to all the races. So you got the races on the back. We just had Laguna Seca. So we've got the Ohio one, Circuit of the Americas, and the New Jersey race. I don't even look at this. No booklet. VIP access to every race, meet and greet with the racers, exclusive garage and paddock tour, Harley-Davidson VIP fan zone, Harley-Davidson parade laps. The concierge, you email them and they take care of everything on the bike. So, you know, if you ever have any issues, questions, want some type of VIP treatment, you email them and you get a response back directly from the team that brings you the CVO RR. This right here is just a little bit of a swag box. Very nice presentation, by the way. That's all lifted. So the official race team hat. This is a CNC aluminum keychain. The racing tire pressure gauge. Little card that comes with it. Welcome to the 131. Pretty cool little bonus gift. In addition to that, you also get the helmet. It's a carbon fiber helmet. People that buy these bikes, we submit their size to Harley-Davidson, and so they get kind of a custom-made, custom-fitted helmet as well. That's carbon fiber, and it matches real well with the bike. So that comes included in the purchase as well. I saw someone post on Instagram, a person that bought one of these bikes, and they were getting their bike signed by Kyle Wyman at, I think, the last race, Laguna Seca. So pretty cool to just, you know, if you're a race fan, you know, of the King of the Baggers series, pretty cool to be able to experience like all that stuff up close and personal, get, you know, exclusive behind the scenes tours of the race paddock and everything. And so pretty cool little extra items. So that's about all I got on the CVO Road Glide RR. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed your stay with me in Fantasyland for most of us. I think one of the big reasons why this bike has now come to fruition is because Harley-Davidson has a race team. Like I said, a lot of these parts and everything in this bike, a lot of it came about because they have a racing team. And so to see this when the performance bagger scene is super popular, a lot of guys are doing this bike anyways, to see a bike like this come from the factory with actual components from the team, I think is really awesome. And who knows, maybe we'll see some of these parts begin to pop up in the parts and accessory catalog, trickle down to the other bikes perhaps. I don't know, we'll see. If you guys have any questions or comments, as always, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If I missed something, leave it in the comment section as well. As always, if you guys are looking for a new or used Harley-Davidson in Southern California, make sure you hit us up here at Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later.